Okay, hey girls. Hopefully you did this assignment here. This linear inequalities assignment. Very simple inequalities to solve. However, what do you think here? You see how we end up dividing by a negative to get a positive variable? Look what happens to the inequality sign. This was less than or equal to, but the final answer has to be greater than or equal to. So I'm going to explain why that is right now, and then I'll probably give you some practice with that type, because that's really the only exception when you're dealing with these inequalities. So let's have a title here. The divide or multiply by a negative problem. Okay, so this is where we're going to start today. Okay, so let's say the only real trick to inequalities, certainly not a trick, to inequalities, the only real trick to inequalities is that if you ever cancel something, by dividing, which we did in our example 21, by dividing or multiplying by a negative, comma, you must reverse the inequality. Okay, let's try this with an example. So we're going to call this with the switch. And when I say switch, I mean the inequality symbol. So if we had negative 2x plus 4 is greater than negative 2, we would go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. There's to cancel, and there's to balance. So we end up with negative 2x is greater than negative 6. Okay, I hope you see we have a problem here. I'm going to be dividing by a negative. That way my variable, in this case x, will be positive. It always has to be a positive variable. So what we would get is But because we've divided by a negative, to be correct, this would be x is less than 3. That's what we're going to try to do. Now here's without the switch. So the same problem. The same solution, subtracting 4 from both sides. And then we need to divide by -2. So how these work is, let's check this now to see if this would be proper. So if I said x was greater than 3, would this be true? Oh, number greater than 3? 5. So -2. I'm going to put a 5 in here. I could pick anything greater than 3. Okay, now let's see what happens. We get a -10. Plus 4 is greater than -2. So we get a -6 greater than -2. Is this true? Is -6 greater than -2? It's not. Let's just check this one with the switch. We're saying x is less than 3. Well, 1 is less than 3, so let's just try 1. Remember, this one has the switch. And we're looking at this value here, something less than 3. We did 1. -2 plus 4, is that greater than -2? -2 plus 4 is 2. Is 2 greater than 2? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give you one where you have to divide or multiply by a negative to solve the inequality, and then just to make sure that you're switching or reversing the inequality sign. Lots of times they just call this reverse the inequality. And I'm going to show you how to graph these a little bit later on. So let's just get some practice switching signs. I'll talk to you soon.